some backyard business chat. And here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing this. I taught a 8-hour class today and some conversation. And so the class was for realtors. So I'm going to talk to some of us real estate professionals, some questions that were posed to me as a national instructor, and then some best practices, right? And so the first thing I'm going to say is you have probably been playing the wrong game in real estate. So this was a global class that I'm teaching. And so the idea is that we have to be one thing, that we have to fit inside of this box. We have to make sure that we play the game a certain way. And what I shared with the attendees today is that many of you are playing the wrong game. And so that's what we're going to look at in this video. So whether you're watching it live or if you're watching the playback, I'm going to encourage you to lock in and watch the majority of this video, or go back and make sure you save it. But this is going to be talking specifically to real estate agents, professionals, but also to any service-based entrepreneur, any service-based business. And this is how I make my living as a service-based professional in real estate, and also as a coach, as a trainer, as a speaker. So the first thing I want to tell everyone is that what game are you in? I want to ask everyone is, what game are you in? Are you in the game of, let's say, selling real estate, or are you in the game of selling yourself, promoting yourself? And so what I realized is, and what I had to communicate to the attendees, the students, is that many of them are trying to play a game that they are not going to win. And here's what I mean by that. Many of our class attendees are foreign nationals. They came to the U.S., they came to South Florida after living in another country, being born in another country. Their native tongue might not be English, okay? But now everything they are doing is in English. All of their marketing, all of their conversation, all of their communication is in English, and therefore the confidence is not coming through in their marketing. So they are trying to market a product that they are unfamiliar with in a country that they aren't comfortable with, in a language that seems and still feels foreign to them. So the first thing I have any business owner do, or I ask any entrepreneur, is if you want to be successful, there are two things that you must know. And so whether you are one of my executive clients or if you're a neophyte newbie coming in, I'm going to ask you the same two questions. First, who are you? Do you know who you are? Many of you don't know who you are, so you're setting yourself up to fail as a business. So I need you, if you're serious about growing your business, if you want to make more money, if you want to have a bigger reach, if you want to do less and earn more, you must know who you are. My first piece of advice to everyone, every entrepreneur, every adult, every kid, take some type of personality assessment, right? Now, I always joke that my favorite one is 16personalities.com. That is from the Myers-Briggs. So the Myers-Briggs, or you might hear MBTI, 16personalities.com. You might have heard of the DISC profile. So I want you to look at, so here we go. So pseudo 3, if you're serious about growing this, here's what I need you to do. First, know who you are. Take some type of personality assessment. 16 personalities or the DISC profile, DISC. Once you know who you are, you're going to stop fighting against yourself and how you're naturally wired. That's going to be number one. Second, find out who your ideal client or your elite client is. So many of us, we get into business, we're entrepreneurs because we didn't like the traditional structure of business. We didn't like the way or being told what to do, how to do it. So therefore we came up with this idea, and we never understood, one, who we were, how we were wired. And then number two, we never understood how or who our elite client is. So we wanted to offer the world what we wanted to give them. Here's the smartest thing to do in business: to give people what they already want and what they're already willing to pay for. That's it. Know who you are, and then ask yourself, am I the type person? Can I figure out who my client is? Can I figure out what they want, and am I willing to give them what they want and what they're willing to pay for? That's it. Now, that's overly simplistic, I will admit. But so when I tell my class attendees or my clients, many of you are playing the wrong game. So in real estate or whatever industry or segment that you're in, you're probably playing the game of, I sell this, I do this, these are the guidelines, here's the way that others in the industry are doing it. I'm going to tell you what all of the smartest people have told me for decades and what we know to be true. I need you to stop trying to sell a thing or a service. I need you to figure out what to do in your business to promote you. That's what I need. I need you to promote and brand yourself more, because if you will brand yourself, if you will sell yourself, there's only one of you. Now, I don't mean sell out, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about sell out. I'm talking about do your thing your way with your unique spin or twist. One of our clients or one of our class attendees today, in a room of 30 realtors, she was the only realtor. So we had, we're here in South Florida, we were in Miami. We had realtors speaking English, we had realtors speaking Portuguese, Spanish. She was the only one that spoke Hebrew. And so as I'm asking these students who speaks English, who speaks Spanish, everyone has their hand up. And the challenge, what she was feeling, she says, Neil, I'm having an issue because I have to do 2 translations in my head. I have to go from English to Hebrew, then Hebrew back to English. And it's no knock on her. What I had to explain to her was, so why not just do 1 translation, English to Hebrew? Right? Why aren't you marketing? Why aren't you using your leverage, your advantage, and speak in Hebrew? Because what we know is there are a group of people who desire who she is and what she offers, and that can connect with her directly that I can't. Right? And so she's trying to play a real estate game with someone who's been in the industry for 20 years. English is my first language. I know the stats better than she does. However, she can speak from the cultural piece. She knows what it's like to leave home. She understands firsthand what it's like to feel the tension of what's going on in these countries where we might have some political unrest, civil unrest, and there might be some religious decisions and tensions behind that. I don't know what that feels like. So who are you is going to be the first question. And then the next question is, what do your people want? Who is your elite client? So on that, once you know who your elite client is, there are 5 questions. I don't care the industry that you're in. I don't care if it's service-based, product-based. There are 5 questions that every one of your clients needs you to answer. They're asking this question in their head. Now, they may not say it out loud, but I need you to speak the way people think. If you can speak in terms and answer these questions before they ever say them out loud, before they address you with these questions, you're going to win. So the first question is, what do you do? Right? And so that seems obvious, right? Well, hey, I sell homes. Well, that's boring. That's bland. That's mundane. What do you do? And so if you are in a service base, or even if you have a company and you offer a product, you probably answer that question, what do you do, from the position of yourself, from the vantage point of you. The fire pit is fire pitting. And so what you must answer every one of these questions from is from the point of, from their perspective. So what do you do? What they're really asking is, what can you do for me? That's the question that they're asking. So the first question that you must answer is, what do you do as a professional? So I'm not a real estate agent. I don't just sell homes or help buyers. What I tell people I do is I professionally market properties to the world and get them sold. So it's different than I'm a real estate agent. I sell homes. I professionally market single family homes to the world and get them sold. If I want to go a level deeper, I would say I professionally market waterfront single family homes to the world and get them sold. If I'm talking to buyers, I'm going to say I work with global clientele looking to bring their assets and their resources into the United States to start the new chapter of their lives, right? So that's the answer to the question, what do you do? The second question that you must answer if you are a service professional or a professional in general is, what makes you credible? What makes you credible? Why should I trust you? Do you have case studies? Do you have examples? Do you have something more than just a promise? Do you have a guarantee? What makes you credible? Are you published on any websites or in the media? Have you been featured? So these are the questions that they are asking us. 1, what do you do? 2, what makes you credible? 3, how do you make your money? Right? So right there. So I work in HVAC. That's too generic. That's too vague. So for instance, if I say I work in HVAC, immediately I'm going to say I make people who are uncomfortable feel comfortable. And then that's going to say, well, what does that mean? And so that's just off the cuff. I would go a little bit deeper, because here's what I want your response to be to all 5 of these questions. We lead with emotion. Always lead with an emotional response, because we as human beings, we are emotional creatures. So when I say I professionally market single family homes to the world and get them sold, that's emotional, because if I'm speaking to a homeowner, I want them to think, okay, he's going to get me sold, right? So it's emotional. What makes you credible? So what makes you credible? The third question is going to be, how do you get paid? How do you make your money, right? In real estate, we know that you make your money when the transaction closes. We know that it's something, the wire fees and commissions and all that. I tell people I only get paid when my customers and clients are so pleased with my service that they decide to part with their resources in exchange for keys. That's how I get paid. That's an emotional tie. Right? So it's not the common sense thing. Many of you are so good at what you do that we allow our logic to interfere with our emotion because we're told to think logically. We, as human beings, we are illogical creatures. I need you to understand it. You don't have to accept it, but understand that your customers, your client base, your elite client profile, they are illogical creatures who are making emotional decisions and then justifying it with reason and facts that they choose. Because this goes back to the saying, numbers don't lie. We can just make them say what we want them to say, right? So you have to understand that they are going to choose the emotional route, and then they're going to justify it with some logic or reason. It's not going to work the other way around. So the first question is, what do you do? Second question, what makes you credible? Third question, how do you get paid, or how do you make your money? Fourth question, are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? Are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? If the question is no, so you're going to ask, well, why would it matter if I'm known, liked, or trusted in my industry? Because no one wants to be the one working with the jerk, right? If you're not known, liked, and trusted in the industry, and when they mention that they are working with you, if they're going to be shunned or if they're going to be laughed at, like, our egos are going to be bruised. I don't care how old we are. I don't care what industry you're in. We know that the best is not usually the most profitable. We're still in a popularity contest, ladies and gentlemen. So whatever your industry is, I don't need you to get better. I need you, your account needs you to get more popular, right? I need you to be more popular. Now, be good, yes, but I need you to be more popular. So after they ask the question, are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? The fifth and final question that any customer, client, prospect is going to ask, what else do you bring to the relationship, to the deal, or the transaction? What else, what additional are you bringing to the relationship, the deal, or the transaction? Gone are the days that great service is enough. Like, I don't need you for great service, right? Why? Because so many of us believe, because of AI technology, friends, family, services that we can pay on demand like Fiverr, like, I can get great service for a minimal fee. If I'm going to hire someone, I need more than great service. What do you bring to the table in addition to the job I'm paying you for? Typically, for us in the service industry or in sales, it has to be some level of know-how, some technical skill, but the most profitable additional thing you're going to bring to the transaction, relationship, or the deal is going to be your relationships and your network. That's the part that technology, AI, just doesn't have. So if you hire me, you get my network And that's also probably going to be what makes you credible. So I want you all to understand that don't get stuck playing a game that you have no business playing. I want you thinking, how can I position myself to be a key person of influence? We're going to know that we need to work on two things as service-based professionals, or even if we have a productized business. We want to ask the question, or we want to make sure that we know who we are, that we know who our client or customer is, our elite client profile. We're only going to answer the questions from their vantage point. Those 5 questions that we're going to answer are going to be, what do you do? What makes you credible? How do you get paid, or how do you make your money? Are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? And then what else do you bring to the table? If you can answer all 5 of those questions from their vantage point, clearly, concisely, compellingly, and with an emotional lead, you're going to get an unfair share of business, and you're going to identify and find that you're going to have opportunities that others in the industry, others in your niche don't get. So I'm done for tonight. Gonna go finish this up. I love you. God loves you. There's nothing you can do about it. Don't be average. Be world renowned. Peace.